Hey everybody, welcome back to this Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the PlayStation. I am Drak. Let's get to it, shall we? Alright, last time, we proved that we are a viable member of the Rebellion, and now we're memorizing the term Mythril. The Empire's equipment far outclassed ours, so now we need weapons and armor made of Mythril. They must have found a Mythril mine somewhere. Oh, what she's basically saying is, they have Mythril, we need it. I ordered a man in Salamand named Joseph to look into it, but he hasn't contacted me yet. Please go to Salamand with Mindu and look into the matter. So now our assignment is we need to go to the village of Salamand to go speak with Joseph. It is good to see you safely back from Vin. I wish to fight alongside you. I offered my canoe as well. I've been carrying it around this entire time, and that doesn't even make sense, but I did. Okay, so now we have a fourth party member in Mindu. We'll see his face in the next little bit, but now we have the canoe, and we don't have to have Mindu in order to have it, so that'll be very helpful. Okay, so last time on the Final Fantasy II Let's Play, we are now a member of the Rebellion, and we have our first assignment, and that is we need to go find Mythril. Well, the Rebellion has contacted Joseph in Salamand, who is trying to look for some Mythril for them. So we need to go contact Joseph to see if he's found anything yet, because Hilda hasn't heard anything from him. Exposition in like under a minute. Awesome. Now people might have noticed on the menu, he is a very ample spellcaster. And frankly, I'm not going to level him, because he's already got plenty of cure spells, but you know, he'll have his uses later on if I need it, just in case I need to save my party switch kind of thing. But in the meantime, let's start up this mission. So we have to first head over to the town of Paloom. Now that we have a canoe, that is possible. And of course, while I'm doing a recording, I have a wonderful update warning. That happens. I think it's happened on Drak and Shadow a couple of times. So now we are in the town of Paloom, and here is where we actually need to gain transport to the town of Poft, which is closer to Salamand. As you can see, it's kind of a pirate town. It actually does have a few more spells that I was able to get while grinding, so don't worry too much about that. But now we're going to go ahead and talk to the pirate here. Are you looking for a ride? Only 32 gil to Poft. Yeah, gil's just a universal currency, guys. Get used to it. Deal. Okay, I'll see you at the ship. I'll see you at my ship docked outside town. I can't talk today. I don't know why. But yes, now we need to go out to the ship that we saw before. Right as we walk out of town. Random encounters. Seriously, goblins, you couldn't have waited till, say, like, I came back from Salamand? Really? Apparently not. And now, as you can see, Moria has one more new spell. Also, I believe Furion at this point has two spells, because he has Shield and Shell. Which, for those who do not know what those do, they are basically protectors of either physical or magical damage. Shell is magical, and Shield is physical. You can have both. There are a couple of games that haven't allowed that, but this is one that does. So no need to worry. Okay, so now we're taking the ship. We're going to go to the town of Poft, which is going to put us right next, or pretty close to Salamand. Alright, so now we're done with our ship run. Yay! We're going to stop off in the town of Poft really quick. See what there is here. There's an inn, there is a weapon and armor shop, but I don't, and I think a magic shop, there are no upgrades here. So, not really worth it. People will notice I'm kind of a rest at the inn-aholic. It's just a good idea, restore your HP before you gotta go to the next town. And sometimes I'm like sitting there going, did I do it? I can't remember if I did or not. Crap. So, I just get it done. Okay, now we're done in Poft, so we're going to make our way to Salamand. Or Salamand. I don't know how the town's said. If I got it wrong, sue me. Oh, look, and new enemies. Now we have a soldier. But it's from the Empire. Are we going to survive? I mean, is it going to do 700 HP to us? This is not as bad as that. Let's just be honest. We got trumped by the powers of a Black Knight. And if anybody's ever seen a Monty Python movie, Black Knights are trouble. Because once you cut off their limbs, they spew tomato juice all over the place. It's not a pretty sight at all. And yay, Maria's Ice Magic Rose. Now she has, I think, level 2 ice. Yep. So yeah, I've gotten a little bit of leveling done on the spells. Fire obviously will be fairly high up there. It's just the way it is. It's the first spell I got, so. And there is the town of Salamand. So not too far away from Puff. But obviously far enough so that we have to get a couple of random encounters. And right now we're also trying to level up MP. So I will be having Therian trying to cast spells, as well as Moria, because I want to not have to worry about magic points at all. Speaking of which, we no longer have charges! Yes, you have to level up magic points, which is also equally a pain. Have I mentioned the problems I have with the leveling system? Yes, I have. I'm not going into it again. I'll go into it later. Okay, so here's the town of Salamand. Oh, Snowy Town. That's the first time. I don't think there was a snowy town in Final Fantasy, but there was a Mystic Quest, because Aquaria was frozen. Oh, and look, I used the inn again. If you want to make that a counting gag, guys, you're more than welcome to. I'm a little OCD with inns, yes, I know. Okay, and so at this point, I actually do go to try and take a quick grinding break to get some money for some spells here, but I obviously switch over to that because there won't be any grinding in this Let's Play. And now I'm back in Salamand, and oh look, little girl. I love Joseph, but I'm afraid I will only be in his way if I'm at his side. Okay, is this supposed to be Joseph's wife? Because that's kind of creepy. It looks like a little girl. And here is Joseph. Yes. And I'm sorry, he looks a little bit like Clint Eastwood. Princess Hilda sent you here? A group of half-pints like you? I find that hard to believe. Alright, ask about the Mythril. Mythril? Well, I haven't found any yet. I've got clues, though. Before I go further, I need you to prove yourselves. The people of Salamand have been put to work in the cavern behind Summit Falls. If you want to earn my trust, save them. Okay, so now we have our little sub-assignment. If we want to find out about Mythril, we've got to go save the people of Salamand, and strangely, they didn't take everybody. I wonder why they didn't. We have to go save the people of Salamand in Summit Falls. So now we're going to go make our way over to Summit Falls, because we need to earn Joseph's trust. While being attacked along the way. Now, I will say, with the graphic design in this game, I love it because it is obviously an upgrade from the original. And the same thing can be said of the NES game. I've seen it, but it's Japanese, so yeah, I'm not going to put that up here and not be able to translate it at all. That may be another thing that people ask about. But wait, Drak, I thought 2 was like a Super Nintendo title. Okay, this has been explained before. I'm going over it as little as I can. Not every Final Fantasy game made it to the US. Especially, that can be said of the NES titles. The second game never made it here. In fact, it was supposed to come here later on the PC under the title Shadows over Polakia, and it didn't. So it never came here until the PlayStation, when they did Final Fantasy Origins. The same thing can be said of Final Fantasy III. The ones that we know as 2 and 3 are really the Super Nintendo titles 4 and 6. So the one you know is not 2. That's all I'm going into it. I'm sorry that doesn't make sense. I was just as floored as you guys when I found out, that's not? Oh, there are more games? That'd actually be an interesting thing to put in the comment threads. When did you find out that they were numbering things wrong? I felt kind of frustrated with it. I'm like, I haven't played every game. The way I found out was when Final Fantasy VII came out. Because I was like, literally looking at the number and going, wait, shouldn't this be 4? Because we have 2, 3. And then I read later, oh, this is 7. Well, why didn't they just bring those other games? Apparently somebody in America didn't think that'd be profitable. Okay. Alright, so we're just making sure that we are good to go, because we are at Summit Falls. Again, I love the sprites in this game. This is why, in a lot of cases, I'm kind of glad this game got remade, because I wonder how Waterfalls would have looked in the NES. Probably not very good. And this is kind of a 1632-bit hybrid, so I got no problem with it. It's still pretty, and the music's still pretty. Alright, so now we are in Summit Falls. This is technically like the first dungeon that we've encountered, and we will actually make our way back to Summit Falls later. But in the meantime, now we have to deal with all these random encounters. And we also do have our little sub-objective. We have to find Joseph's villagers and free them. Otherwise, he won't tell us about Mythril. Maybe we should go ask Gandalf. What, it referenced Star Wars? We can't reference Lord of the Rings? Of course we can. Speaking of, so we're actually getting really close to the release of The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug. Are people excited? I'm totally excited, especially since the announcement of Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug. Ever since I saw Star Trek Into Darkness, I've become a big Benedict Cumberbatch fan. I think he's got the voice for it. I think he can play that villain really well. And I've heard the trailer's voiceovers of Smaug, and it's awesome. Which is interesting because I remember reading the first IMDb entries for the Hobbit movies. And they actually had, and to this day, nobody believes me, but me and my wife remember seeing that on the IMDb entry, Smaug was being played by Leonard Nimoy. I would have had no problem either way, because Leonard, I think, would have been able to do it, and so would Benedict. But then I tell people, and they're like, he was never Leonard Nimoy who was going to play it. I'm like, I remember the stupid IMDb entry that had him as cast. So there. Okay, so now we're making our way to Basement 2. What? We can walk in water? Yes, apparently. One of those things I didn't really explain, but it's cool on screen. You know, we can swim and make our way through the dungeon floors. Okay. Another enemy bites the dust. So now we have to make our way... Oh, come on. I'm being shy. I'm liking the pool right now. Okay. For those pauses, guys, it really is that I'm consulting a map, because some of these dungeons get pretty complex later, and I'm remembering where to go on the map to get to the next door. More goblin guards to kill. So while we're making our way through Summit Falls, there is actually a question I would like to ask of the people who watch this. We are coming close to the end of the year of 2013. For the gamers out there, what do you think is the best thing that's come out this year? I've got a few picks, but I don't want to mention them until I've actually played them, because everybody knows I've got a pile of games this high that I still haven't played. I think the most recent game I'm playing is a 2011 game. And that would be Assassin's Creed Revelations. Was that 2011? No, I think that was 2010, actually. I'm old. What can I say? I'm old. just want to beat these games so that I can understand things like the plot in later games. I'm kind of OCD like that. I like to play through the story one step at a time so that I understand everything that's going on and can compare one game to another and say, okay, well, this is the best in the series, this was the worst. And people might notice that we had 4 doors in front of us, so 3 of them are traps. Obviously, you're seeing we found one of those traps. But I'm actually going to check all the doors today. I couldn't remember if there were chests or not in at least one of the doors. And so now we have a new enemy that is actually a staple later in the games. Although it's not known as a balloon, it's usually a bomb. It's weird. And then the recolors of it would be a grenade, a balloon, things like that. So it's a weird enemy, but it works. Obviously, Mindu's kicking some butt. He is Mindu the White. People might be wondering, why aren't you leveling up his spells? Mindu's kind of a temporary character. There's not really a whole lot of point to leveling him. Plus, a lot of his spells, the ones that I want, are like level 7 anyway, so I don't really need to level him. He's really overpowered in this part of the game. And I get why they did that. They want to shepherd you through the game, and I'm fine with that. Especially with this leveling system, because it takes forever to get anything done. And here's another new enemy, the slimes, or jellos, or jellies, or tofu? Yeah, tofu in Final Fantasy IV. And obviously, only magic can hurt them, so now I gotta dig out Maria's arsenal. Let's see how hard she hits them. Roll 3. And not too much, but it's enough to kill them. They're all gushy, but they only have like 10 HP. Okay, one more door to go. Nope, no chests in here. That's a little disappointing. But now we have 6 bombs ahead of us. Now, for those who have never played a Final Fantasy game, the thing with bombs is, or balloons, kill them fast. Because if you don't, they will self-destruct. And probably take your character with them. There have been many times in Final Fantasy games where I have lost pretty much my whole party because a bomb went off. Because, like, for example, my healer was dead and I was trying to get them res back up, and I just took a big hit, and all of a sudden, boom, party's gone. Well, now I gotta do all that work over again. Yeah, no kidding. Also, people might notice that I am not getting every chest. There's a reason. Some chests have things that I'm gonna want, and some don't. And like I said in the first part, limited inventory, so I've got to be selective. Some things I can sell, some things I can't, some things I want. But if it's just going to be like a chest with 5 gil, or a chest with a potion, I've got plenty of potions. I don't need to get another one in my inventory. I am a bit of a loot whore, but I'm also wanting to not hit my item cap. Because then I have to go into the item cap rage, and people don't appreciate that. It's like Drak and Shadow with Pokemon. It's just better this way. Okay, further and further deep we go. Literally, just the most awkward times. But it does look like we found near the end of this floor. Yay! One more floor down. Just wait until we get in some of the bigger dungeons. Holy moly. I have a feeling a few of them will take a part in and of themselves. So yeah, I would be interested in what people think was like the game of the year this year. I mean, there are a couple of really good candidates. Unfortunately, I haven't played them, but I've heard really good things about them. For example, Bioshock Infinite, Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider remake, both of which I'm very excited about. The Wii U obviously has been doing fairly well as far as games. I've been hearing great things about Super Mario 3D World, so at some point I'll have to pick that up. Oh, and look, we found the villagers. Wah! Literally, that was dialogue. You're Furion, right? We met in Altair. Say, maybe you could help me out. This girl here is Molly, Joseph's daughter. Okay. Morgan took her hostage and threatened to kill her unless Joseph did as he said. Oh, okay, so this is why he wasn't willing to help. Why am I here, you ask? Yeah, Mr. Ninja. Well, I learned this place bored Mythril ore, so I came to get some for myself. But they caught me, and here I am. Not a very good ninja, are you? Hey, do me a favor and distract the guards. I'll get Molly and the others out of here. See you later! Do I want to trust this guy? I mean, he's not necessarily a ninja. His sprite's kind of misleading. Oh well, but he's taking the people back to Salamand. But now we gotta go see if we can find some Mythril ore down here ourselves. And maybe even take care of the infamous Count Borgen that we've been hearing about. But in the meantime, more random encounters. So one thing people might be asking me also is how am I doing in my own game progress? You know, what am I playing currently? I'm playing a lot. I know I answer that every time, but I am. I've just made another milestone into Assassin's Creed Revelations. I'm pretty close to beating it, I think. And then I can go on to Assassin's Creed 3, but I'll take a break. Let things sink in before I do that. I've also been playing through the Devil May Cry games again. I'm in the third, which in my opinion is the best that they've ever done. Mainly because I'm trying to go through the other games to compare it to the remake that was done this year. Devil May Cry, or DMC Devil May Cry. Which I've heard bad things about, but sometimes I agree with reviewers, sometimes I don't. So we'll see what I think of it, and then if I hate it, I'll probably rage about it. I think I've done that with games like Darksiders and a few others. Speaking of, another thing that happened this year is that I was actually getting fairly excited when Hideo Kojima last year announced that he was going to do Zone of the Enders 3. I'm a Metal Gear fan, but I'm also a very big Zone of the Enders fan. And so he said, oh, we're going to do this collection, and then we're going to use the funds from the collection to fund Zone of the Enders 3. Well, then he handed it over to a crappy port company. Or, in this case, they were a crappy port company because they didn't do it justice at all. They didn't do the first two games justice at all. I've heard it's later been patched, but, I mean, if it's broken right off the bat, that's frustrating. And it's so frustrating, in fact, that Kojima has come out and said he is not going to do Zone of the Enders 3 now. So I'm a little depressed by that, because as much as I love Metal Gear, and we're going to get some Metal Gear games, I kind of wanted ZOA 3. And I'm hoping he's willing to consider it later, but, oh, that's disappointing. I was actually going to pick up the collection myself, but after hearing the reviews of it, I said, no. If they can't do it right on PS3, then it's not worth it. So in the meantime, probably while I'm going in between Devil May Cry games, I've actually considered finally picking up the Rocksteady Batman games. I don't usually go for superhero or movie tie-in games, but I've heard a lot of good things about this series, and so I figure it's probably about time that I pick it up to see if it lives up to what I would consider to be a good game for a superhero. But in the meantime, we're going to have to go into Batman later because we are out of time for this week. So next time, we are going to be finishing up Summit Falls, getting back to Joseph and see if he can help us out with more Mythril. But in the meantime, sit back and relax, and I'll join you again next week. I am Drak, and this has been a Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the PlayStation. See you next week.